Hello and greetings to you wherever you may be on this beautiful planet Earth, the third rock from the sun. Today's date is the 30th of June, 2024. The title of this video is Self-Improvement, and this is my 79th video, which has taken me some years, actually several years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, I don't remember. It's quite a lot of videos. And as I have changed and improved myself, the videos have likewise changed and improved. So most people, I assume, from my observation, I do a lot of asking and discussing, inquiring, and I realize that the majority of the people are not that interested in improving themselves. Mainly, I believe, is because they are not aware that they can improve themselves. Strange as it may seem, there are quite a few people who feel that they are experiencing the pinnacle of their evolutionary development. And then there are people like me who realize that this is a vast journey, and I'm just at the very, very beginning of that journey. And I'm improving all the time. And I've chosen in this lifetime to do the best I can to accelerate my own evolutionary process of self-improvement. It's a vast subject, and it incorporates knowing who and what a human being is and is not, who you really are, and that you're not your body. I am not my body. And I come back to the 4 eternal questions I received at the age of 12, when I was supplicating to God with my hands outstretched like this, asking God, why was I forsaken in this very strange and challenging place called third dimensional planet Earth? And I was given 4 questions. Who am I? Where do I come from? What am I doing here? And where am I going? It's taken me 60-odd years to come up with some kind of answers that are satisfying me. And these answers they change as I change as I self-improve and I change my consciousness, improve my consciousness, develop more consciousness, I embody more consciousness. The answers change. However, the 4 questions indicate that there's much more to us than what we see when we look in the mirror, and that everything does change, and that it improves, or the opposite. It can either evolve or devolve, depending on our free will, depending on our choices. If we're caught up in negative trauma, with having adopted negative limiting beliefs, patterns of behavior, and programming, our evolutionary process will be painfully slow and may take many more lifetimes than otherwise. And if we are willing to be open enough, accommodating enough, to at least research in whatever way you can, to ascertain if this is the pinnacle of your evolutionary process or if it's just a journey that you're just beginning, like me. So self-improvement is very, very important. And it is the very concept in our lives that is given the least amount of attention. People want to know why they suffer, while we all suffer. It's because we haven't improved ourselves enough. If you learn to drive a motor car and you're a lousy driver, you will tend to crash into things or not even start the car or cause accidents. And as you become a better driver and your driving improves, it's more enjoyable. You're able to go further. You're able to do more as an accomplished motor car driver. That's not a very good example, but it is an example. If you're playing badminton, which I used to play in my younger years, I used to like playing with people who were better than me so that I could learn. I could improve myself. And as I improved my game, I was better and I enjoyed the game better. As I am growing in consciousness and working on myself and doing what I can to improve myself, I prefer to communicate with people who know more than me, who are more evolved than me, who embody more divine light and more consciousness than me, because I can learn from them. So that I may be able to improve myself. Same thing. So this lesson, sorry, I'm not here to teach anybody. I'm not a teacher. I'm a messenger. I just share what I know. The truth is, there are no external teachers. There are no external gurus. The finest teacher you have is within yourself. The finest and only real guru and teacher are in yourself. The reason why people look for external teachers is because they have not yet found their internal teacher. And any external teacher or guru worth his or her salt will help teach you to find your own internal inner teacher and guru. We are not here to be dependent upon anybody or anything. We are self-sufficient unto ourselves if we are able to self-improve sufficiently so that we are able to accomplish that. The image behind me is not fully visible. I'm just going to lean over to the side so that you can see it. I didn't lean over far enough or my chair didn't disappear, but you saw enough of the visual. This was the best visual I could come up with to demonstrate, to symbolize self-improvement. And you've got somebody meditating, which is a wonderful practice to incorporate in your life to help you self-improve. And all the designs around the person meditating, and you can see that are surrounding me and yet behind me, is just energy fields. They are energy fields. And it is the ability to raise our consciousness and raise our frequency of vibration that produces these finer, deeper, more profound energy fields with which we are able to function, or by which we are able to function as we self-improve. You see, there is so much more to being human. There's so much more to being a biological spiritual being. In actual fact, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And there's much, much more to us than what we realize. And as we are able to develop more of our potential, more consciousness, the gift that's waiting for us is what is known as enlightenment. Enlightenment is when we are filled with light and we are reflecting that light. And this is divine light. And at the moment, we require, I was going to say we are in need, and I guess we are, but I don't like operating from need, but we require more light, because the more light we have on this planet, the less darkness there is. And the only way we are going to produce more light is by improving ourselves, not necessarily to drive a car better or to play badminton better or to play cricket or American football better, but to be better, to embody and reflect greater degrees of divine light, higher frequencies of vibration. Now, to some people, this sounds a little kind of weird, not very practical, but in fact, it is highly, highly practical. And the reason I say that is because when you are in tune with the universe, when you are vibrating at even a slightly higher frequency of vibration, when you are more in tune, resonating with natural law and universal law, everything comes easy. Everything in the way of goodness, love, compassion, harmony, and peace comes easy. Very easy, because it's natural. It's there waiting for us to change and improve sufficiently so that we will be able to resonate with that frequency. While we resonate at lower frequency levels, we are not able to enjoy the higher frequency levels, which is where all that goodness, that divine light, that divine love, peace, and harmony reside. It's a difficult subject to describe. Those who know what I'm talking about do not require me to remind them. Although reminding is very good, I sometimes forget certain things. The people who do not want to know, they are not interested in this. So really and truly, my audience are those people who really want to improve their lives, improve themselves, to live a life that is better, more enjoyable, more harmonious, more peaceful, with greater degrees of well-being and prosperity, but they don't know how to do it. And it all boils down to self-improvement. So how do you self-improve? There are just countless means, techniques, practices, modalities that anybody can use, most people really can use, to accelerate their own self-improvement process. I have spent 66 years working with as many of them as I could. And I have actually had incredible experiences. So I'm in a pretty good position to discuss what is available. I'm sure there's more because I don't know everything. I know a lot for me, and I realize that this is just a drop in the ocean of universal knowledge. I've written books, and I'm not really marketing them, but if anybody should communicate with me, I'll be happy to just give them away free, that provide many, many techniques, many concepts, ideas that can be helpful. I keep reminding people that this is available to them, and very few are actually taking advantage of this, but that's okay because everybody has free will. There may be one or two people, and if they are the ones who benefit, I feel that my service to humankind is successful. So self-development is a challenging process, because it really requires that we are to know what to improve. And it's very, very challenging to actually know that. It is easier for us to observe in others what they are required to improve than it is to recognize in ourselves. And very often we require people to tell us, but most people won't tell you. They don't know how to tell you, and they don't have the inclination to tell you. Perhaps they fear that you will be offended. Well, if you're offended by something that's limiting you, that's your ego. So the first thing then, in that case, is to work on the ego and promote it to a higher frequency, to change the programming, the belief system, the patterns of behavior that cause the ego to operate in a dysfunctional manner, preventing you from self-improvement. It requires you to be very honest with yourself. I don't know how many people are able to do that. I've learned. I had to learn this, to be honest. I'm brutally honest with myself. Why? Because I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want to be ignorant anymore. I don't want to walk in darkness, blind, deaf, and dumb anymore. I want to develop my greater potential, more consciousness. I want more light within me, and I want to be of greater service to others. So I was obliged to pay attention, which leads me to a most wonderful protocol that I'm going to end with. A few years ago, Ramana Maharshi, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, an Indian holy man of great, great stature, who died in 1950, contacted me psychically. I get these connections from time to time, not often enough, and we had a dialogue. And I have a picture of him by my bedside and on the wall to remind me of what he taught me. And he said, you know, the easiest and the best way to develop yourself is to realize that there are ostensibly two parts to yourself. There's the lower self, the more human, the limited self, the ignorant self doesn't really know what's going on. And then the higher self, which is more spiritual, it's more soul connected, it knows everything, but unfortunately, or knows a lot, I'll put it that way, knows a lot, still learning and evolving, but knows a lot. And the lower self is the dysfunctional self, the dysfunctional ego, and it blocks the voice of the higher self. And the higher self talks with a gentle voice, and it's very rarely heard. And that's why meditation is so good, because meditation tends to help a person when it's practiced, a formal technique practice, not just sitting there thinking, but even that has some value. But a formal technique that you can learn, and I have a lot of experience in this. I'm digressing now. I have been practicing transcendental meditation since 1971. I became a teacher of that in 1976. I did the advanced programs and techniques. I learned a few other techniques just for the knowledge of it. And I have taught hundreds of people. I know something about meditation. And it tends to help people become very peaceful and very quiet. And it's in those moments that the higher self can talk to you, whereby you can hear your higher self talking. So the first part, as I've mentioned in other videos, but I'm repeating myself, because a good message has to be given 7 to 12 times before people acknowledge it. So I'm told. The first part is self-inquiry, as Ramana Maharshi told me. Self-inquiry. Ask your higher self, how can I self-improve? What can I do to improve myself, to improve this, to improve that? And be as specific as you can. And then the next part, number 2, is to trust yourself, to surrender to yourself. higher self, not the lower self, but to say, I know I have a higher self, soul connected. And so I'm going to put my faith in that higher soul. The higher soul is much closer to God than the lower self. The lower self is also of God, but much more separated, seemingly. I say seemingly because nothing is separated, but it appears to be. And whatever reality we perceive, as I discussed in my previous video, what is perception? Whatever we perceive reality to be, that is our reality. And if we can perceive a greater reality, our reality changes. So we surrender to ourselves. We trust our higher self. And then the last part is very, very important. Pay attention to the results. Now, I can honestly tell you, it's my experience that when you sincerely, heartfelt, ask your higher self to guide you, this is your own teacher. You are making a connection with your own teacher, your own guru, your own Messiah. That part of you who will lead you out of suffering into a much better reality. This is where your destiny lies, your higher self, your soul, self. When you ask your soul, your higher self, something, and you trust and surrender to your higher self, there will always be results, because that's what the universe does. That's what creation does. It will accommodate, listens to you, and then it adjusts itself in order to accommodate what you have requested. And if you do not prevent the results, the signposts, the doorways, the portals will open up, and it is for you to go through them. Now, I say it is vitally important that you do not prevent this from occurring, these signposts. And why do I say that? Because in a previous video, I talked about the physics of sine waves, that when you have a thought, it creates a wave of energy with peak and valley. And when you follow that up with a negative thought, it is a reversed pattern of behavior with reversed peaks and valleys. And the first thought was constructive, and the second thought was destructive. The two are canceled out. You're left with nothing, as if you've never even had the original thought in the first place. And that is why when you do affirmations or you have positive thoughts, if you think of anything negative, it cancels the positive thought out. So if you ask your higher self for something that is worthy, that is for your highest possible benefit, highest good, and then you follow that thought up with a negative thought, you'll wipe out the good thought, and you're left with nothing, as if you've done nothing. I know this from my experience. I've learned this the hard way. I learned this intellectually, and I didn't understand it. And when I realized what I was doing, I changed my programming. And now, forevermore, the glass is always half full, never half empty. The other thing I would like to share with you is, wherever you put your energy, your thoughts, your attention, that's where energy goes. So if you tend to say, well, the glass is half empty, your whole life will be half empty. Empty. And when you put your full attention on the glass being half full, your life will be fuller. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of realizing through your effort and application of self-improving how you can improve your thoughts, and subsequently how you can improve your words, your speech patterns, and then how you can improve your actions. So thank you very much for listening to me. I know that I can get very passionate about these things, and the passion is born of my desire to serve you and humanity, the animal kingdom, all of life, the earth, in my own little way, whatever little way I can do. And when enough of us are doing this, this is when the evil will recede, the darkness will recede, we will have more light, and life will be as a golden age for humanity. So I urge you, please, if you have not already done so, embark upon a regime of self-improvement in the best way you can. And if you have already done so, then I applaud you and I urge you to go even further and even more as I do that to myself. I urge myself, more, keep going in spite of all the trials and tribulations we are experiencing on planet Earth now. The earth, all of life, needs all of us with as much divine light as we can. Thank you for joining me on this road less traveled, and thank you for listening. Until next time.